Huh?
Care what our town looks
Yeah,
like?
but, you know.
I figured Dave Brennan was just there saving it just for
Good evening.
All over today.
This is the combined pre-council council meeting for the city of Joliet, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m., September 5th. Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk presiding. Please rise as Father Pete Jankowski of St. Pat's Church, 710 West Marion Street, does the invocation. Please remain standing as Father leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I thought it would be appropriate, especially tonight with the recent sufferings that have taken place in the city with families, with immigrants, with what's going on in Texas and Florida and Guam and throughout the world, that maybe we should just take a moment of silence to remember those who are suffering and those who have died. A couple clergy acquaintances of mine have asked me for prayers as well, so I'd like to remember them. So I'd ask that we take a moment of silence to pray for those who suffer, for those who have died, and then I will offer the shepherd's prayer on all of their behalf. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want. In verdant pastures he gives me repose. Beside restful waters he leads me, he refreshes my soul. He guides me on right paths for his name's sake, and even though I walk in the dark valley, I fear no evil, for you are at my side with your rod and staff to give me courage. You spread the table before me in the sight of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Only goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for years to come. Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How's the new dog?
I'll pray for my dog.
Okay. Volunteering. We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl. Absent this evening. Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman. Here. Councilman Turk.
Here.
Krista, I got a call from Councilman Girl. He's en route. He had a family matter he had to attend to.
Okay, thank you. First, we have a presentation this evening regarding the Facilities Assessment Study by CDM Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just wanted to give a brief introduction about the study that you're going to see in a few minutes. But back several years ago, remember when we did the city strategic plan, one of the things that we were tasked with was doing a facility study, looking at our various buildings throughout the city and determining the course of action and the money necessary to keep them going and being functioning properly. That whole process was really a collaboration of a bunch of efforts, and I just want to thank a few people real quickly who spent a lot of time working on it. The people that really worked on it that helped me were Nick Gornick, Meg McHevley, and Brent Frazier. They helped put together the RFP, went through the process. If you remember, I think we went to the Public Service Committee and presented it, and I'm glad to say that this process is coming to an end. That it's been a very good process. We had a lot of great cooperation from all the departments throughout the city, as well as the Rialto and the library, which are included in the study. So this study was 55 different buildings and a lot of variety in there, from baseball to sewage treatment plants to fire stations, police stations, city hall, and a train station as well. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce Amro Atasi and Benjamin Harbour with CDM Smith, and they'll go through the presentation, and then they'll certainly stick around for any questions you might have. Thank you.
Ken, thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, Council members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present our findings from the study. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
So we have about a 15-minute presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions after we go through the presentations. Again, we thank you for the opportunity. We've had great cooperation from all city staff. You cannot go through an assessment of 66 buildings at 55 sites without some tremendous cooperation support from the staff, and we thank everyone for that. So here we go. So what we're going to cover today is give you kind of an introduction background of the study, the methodology that we went through, the analysis, our findings, and then finally present our recommendations. And as I said earlier, we'll be happy to take some questions, open it up for discussion. So CDM Smith, we were retained by the city to do an assessment of the city facilities. Again, this included 66 buildings at 55 different sites. Our assessment focused on architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, as well as civil sites at each of these facilities, at each of these buildings, with the idea to provide an assessment and give you kind of a recommendation over the next 20 years of what improvements, what maintenance repairs are required for this assessment. And as we go through our findings and present our recommendations, just want the mayor and the council to know that what we found in terms of the dollars, the recommendations, is pretty consistent with a community and a city of this size and age and condition of the buildings to Joliet. We do this type of assessment in a number of other facilities, a number of other locations throughout the state, throughout the country. There's nothing unusual in terms of the, as we present our numbers later on, some of these numbers might seem large, but they are typical for a community of this size. And one thing that we want everyone to know and emphasize is that the number also speaks to the commitment and the hard work of the staff, keeping these buildings, given their age and condition. The staff, the maintenance staff and the operations staff have done a great job keeping these buildings in great shape, which is why in our assessment, these numbers are even slightly lower than what we typically see for a system of this size and age. So as I said earlier, we looked at 66 different city-owned buildings at 55 sites. Some go over 100 years old. We've provided on this slide kind of the number of facilities at each of these different groups, and Ben is going to walk us through the methodology and the analysis for these facilities.
Thank you, Amru. So as Amru mentioned, there's quite a bit of square footage, and we were also asked to take a look at different facilities groups. So some of that is in terms of who utilizes them, how they're managed, and then also in some cases, as we understand it, budgets. So there'll be a little bit of a breakdown beyond this, but this gives you just a general idea of the total square footage and the number of facilities that we surveyed. There we go. In terms of methodology, obviously a lot of different facilities, everything from fire stations, police stations, municipal buildings, pump stations. So it was very important for our team to develop a methodology that would work kind of across different facility types. The surveys were conducted early part of this year, and as Amru mentioned, we had architects, mechanical engineers, electrical, civil, and structural engineers. We also worked with your staff here at the city. We looked at existing plans and historic data and previous studies and reports. So from the work that we did in the field, we developed a data analysis tool, which are basically spreadsheets that everyone in the field would fill out. We developed benchmarks looking at how long systems we would expect to last, whether that's a boiler, mechanical units, the exterior of a building, different systems basically. And then we gauged the quality of the systems that were in the field. So that was kind of a benchmark and baseline that we compared against. We looked at the conditions, we looked at the criticality, which we call, and prioritization. We looked at strategic decisions and budgetary estimates. So those were all tools that we used in order to develop information that hopefully you can use going forward. We looked at repair and replacement costs. In that, we did 20% project cost, basically contingency for future costs, and then another 30% for SIP construction costs. And these were in today's dollars. And we looked at critical 1 year, 5, 10, and 20-year projects. So that's always a challenge. If we gave you one number, it wouldn't really mean anything. It has to be tied to a time period. So there are items that we think that need to be dealt with very soon, shall I say. If they're life safety, Americans with disabilities, et cetera, they're items that we think are very important that we kind of categorized in the 1 year timeline. Then there's 5, 10, and 20. We also developed, besides reports, we also developed a database for staff to use. So we see this as a living document that can be updated as projects are completed or new issues arise. This is searchable by different facilities types and different equipment, and then you can also put prioritization and estimates to it. So with this tool, depending on budgeting year to year, the idea is that this is a living document that you can run and basically make decisions off of this. The way our analysis worked is we looked at the condition based on these assessments. We looked at criticality, prioritization, and building use. And that helped us determine whether these were high, medium, or low priorities in terms of projects. So to kind of explain this, if you have a fire station or a police station and something major goes wrong with that system, it shuts down, the city has a problem. Same with water, for example. Those are some judgments that we've made in terms of analysis, in terms of the criticality and the prioritization of projects. Things like libraries, which are very important to the city, are not necessarily critical to its function. So those were some of the determinations that we made. Moving on a little bit to the data and the conditions. If we looked at all of the different facilities, we have 5 that we say are in excellent condition. We have about 16 or 17 that are in good condition, about 20 that are fair, and then we have poor and critical, which are about 12. So it's actually not bad in terms of that curve. Looking at repair and budget costs, this is looking at not replacing facilities, but simply repairing and bringing them up to a state of good repair. That dollar amount would be $90 million, excluding the library and the Rialto Square in 2017 dollars. And that looks on the right, breaks it down by what we understand are the different funding categories for the city. The City of Joliet, parking, public utilities, library, and the Rialto Square. That's total dollars. Now, if you look at 0, 1, and 5-year budgets, that's $60 million in deferred maintenance. In terms of critical items, which we believe would need to be, or would suggest to be dealt with as soon as possible, it's about $6.5 million, excluding the library and the Rialto. These include items, as I mentioned before, such as life safety, code compliance issues, functionality, which may cause the facility to be uninhabitable, and system failures. That could be flooding, electrical issues that could cause systematic failure.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes, absolutely.
Question. And I'm sorry, but this is excluding the library and the Rialto. And I guess the question would be, why are they included in any of this? Those aren't our buildings. And I don't want to confuse the public. That's why I'm bringing it out right now.
It's a very good question. As part of this study, we were asked to take a look at those, but we were asked to keep them in silos. We can summarize, to your point, we could summarize in a different way.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of budgets by group, looking at, again, all the different facilities and usages, this is kind of how the $90 million would lay out. We did want to highlight this kind of part that says abandoned. There are some moves that we're recommending. We would not recommend bringing up all facilities to a state of good repair. We think there's some investments basically that could be deferred, or buildings that could potentially be deleveraged, shall we say. And in recommendations, As I mentioned, our strategy was basically to look at the highest priority buildings with the lowest condition. So what our most concern in terms of an investment priority in our recommendations is basically looking at facilities that are very important to the city, are well utilized, but they're in poor condition. And these other items that we took a look at are deferred maintenance that we'd recommend over the next 5 years, and also facilities that we'd recommend potentially basically de-investing. You want to talk about other recommendations? Okay.
Thank you, Ben. So now kind of wrapping up into the 3 key recommendations. So the first one is these high priority investments. That's what Ben was talking about. These are buildings that are both in poor condition and high priority that provide critical, that are critical to the continuous operation of the city. So fire stations 4 and 7, public utilities, the administration facilities, fleet garages 1 and 2, and then the roadways maintenance facility. So combined replacement costs for those 4 different categories, those different buildings, is estimated at $31 million. Again, this is today's dollars, not escalated to future costs, but it does include some contingency as Ben outlined. So that's kind of the first bucket. These are high priority replacement investments that we're recommending that the city undertake. Related to that is an additional $34 million for maintenance for the critical and high priority buildings. These are not replacements, as the previous slide showed. These are buildings that do require some repair and some maintenance. If you combine the capital investment of replacing the buildings of $31 million plus the $34 million for the maintenance needed of these other facilities to cover these critical facilities that have high priority projects, you end up with approximately $65 million that we're recommending the city undertake immediately or in the next year to improve these facilities, whether they're capital replacements or maintenance and repair of these facilities. Additional recommendations, as Ben alluded to, the JCCA gymnasium and the Stoyanich building, we're recommending that the city abandon these facilities. That would free up approximately $7 million of estimated repair that the city no longer have to spend. In addition to that, beyond the projects that we're recommending that you include on an immediate basis in terms of future over the next 20 years and beyond, is it's good industry practice to take 1 to 2% of the value of your assets towards maintenance. So if you take 1.5% of the estimated value of those facilities and buildings, you end up with about $6 million a year investment for all the facilities. And if you remove or exclude the Rialto Square and the library, that number would be about $4 million a year of estimated recommended investment. So essentially, if you were to break down the 3 recommendations, $65 million upfront to replace the critical buildings that need to be replaced, as well as the maintenance repairs. And the second item is to plan on $4 to $6 million a year, depending if you want to include the library and the Rialto Square, to be budgeted moving forward towards the annual repair of facilities. And the third recommendation is to essentially abandon the gymnasium and the Stoyanich building. So those are the 3 recommendations that we kind of the 3 key recommendations from the study. So I think with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Questions, comments? I have a question. Did you further break down of the buildings and the costs for replacement or remediation? Water and sewer versus all general fund?
Yes, we have those numbers that are.
You know, my reasoning being.
Oh, absolutely, in terms of the
different enterprise
buckets,
funds,
basically.
correct?
Yes. So we have those broken out.
Yeah, I think so that.
Go to the next one.
So public utilities of the 34 million, that's 4 million, and then parking is 7. And then the 31 million,
8 million is basically for public utilities. That would come out of that 31 million. So we have a very detailed report, kind of an executive summary, and this is kind of the PowerPoint to try to keep it high level. But yes, we broke it down by those different groups.
Well, I want to thank you. Thank you to staff, Marty Shanahan and Jim Hock. This was basically his idea to go forward with this. Mike, I know you've been here the longest. As far as I know, I don't remember anything like this ever being done before.
You know, I don't recall one, especially not in this detail and this depth like this, no.
Well, I think it's, again, it's good government that we have to take ownership of these buildings. But I think more importantly, we're seeing that we need to develop a plan moving forward, not just with the capital improvements, but citywide. I think that we need a definite plan, 5 or 10-year plan on how the city's gonna keep progressing.
I would agree, Mayor. I've been asking for this for years.
Right. Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Next, Gideon Bluestein is here to speak about the upcoming Joliet Housing Expo.
Mayor Odekirk and members of the City Council, thank you for your time tonight. My name is Gideon Bluestein, and I'm here representing the Three Rivers Association of Realtors, which is a membership organization comprised of nearly 1,000 realtors in the Joliet area. I'm joined by Cornell Lurie from First Midwest tonight as well. Joliet realtors often come before you to discuss the protection of private property rights, but tonight I'm here to encourage you and those watching tonight's meeting to attend our second annual Joliet Housing Expo this Saturday from 9 to noon at Bicentennial Park. Local realtors have leveraged a $5,000 housing opportunity grant from the National Association of Realtors to put on this event. First Midwest Bank and Neighborhood Loans have stepped up to help fund much of our promotional activities, and the Will County Center for Community Concerns is providing huge staff and logistical support for the event. So, why are we all pulling together and working with city staff to host this event, this expo that's happening Saturday from 9 to noon? To answer that question, I'm going to turn it over to Cornell Lurie from First Midwest.
Thanks, Gideon. Good evening, Mayor and council members of the City Council. My name is Cornell Lurie. I am a vice president with First Midwest Bank. I am the community investment representative as well. The purpose of this Saturday's Housing Expo is to showcase what a great place Joliet is to live, encourage renters to become homeowners, and also to encourage commuters to become residents. Professionals from the real estate, legal, financial institution, and also home inspection industries will be on hand to answer questions about the home buying process. Community organizations such as the YMCA, school district, and also the Rialto Square Theater will be on hand to showcase some of these great community amenities we have. This Saturday's Joliet Housing Expo will also be a great opportunity for potential home buyers to learn more about the down payment assistance program, which provides a great financial incentive to purchase a home within the city of Joliet limits. Staff from the city and the Will County Center for Community Concerns will be on hand to also assist about the incentive in the great program. Last year, we had approximately 250 attendees and 35 vendors participate. This year, we have over 40 vendors, and we're hoping to attract even more attendees. For more information, you can Google Joliet Housing Expo and go to our Facebook page at Joliet Housing Expo. And thank you again for your time for us to get the word out about this Saturday's upcoming event, which will be held at the Bicentennial Park from 9 to noon.
Well, thank you. I know it was a great event last year, and it should be again. Thank you for what you're doing to help promote our city. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a proclamation recognizing September 2017 is National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
It's fairly ironic that we'd be doing this in September, since last month, just last week, we had a tragic suicide in our neighborhood. And we should keep the Henning family in our prayers and thoughts during this horrific time for them. September is known as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, which helps promote resources and awareness around the issues of suicide prevention. It teaches how to help others and how to talk about suicide without increasing the risk of harm. And suicidal thoughts can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, or background. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people. Joliet, Illinois is no different than any other community in the country, but chooses to publicly state and place our full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, PAC leaders, parents as partners in supporting our community, and simply being available to one another. Local and national organizations like Suicide Prevention Services are on the front lines of a battle that many still refuse to discuss in public. The youth of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we're all fighting our own battles. I encourage all residents to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family, friends, and neighbors over the next few days, and to genuinely convey their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, have the distinct honor of proclaiming the month of September 2017 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And I just want to add another footnote. This talks about youth. It's anybody, any age. So please, people, if you think something is wrong with somebody, reach out, call someone, encourage them, take them if you have to. Because it's such a private thing, they don't want anyone to know what's going to happen. And as a medical professional, it's not always easy to identify the signs. But if you just think something's wrong, something is probably wrong. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Odekirk and the City Council members. This proclamation is a direct result of a single person asking for help and making a difference. One alderman, Joel Frieders, in one city ultimately turned into 20 cities in Illinois, including 2 cities that were out of state, and then 2 counties signing this proclamation in the month of September. The power of people showing care and compassion can make all the difference in the lives of others. Far too many people are quietly suffering because of the stigma that is often associated with suicide and mental illness. As a society, and even in our wellness programs, we seem to place more importance on the number of actual steps we're getting according to our Fitbit than the actual number of breaths that we're taking. Mental health needs to be placed with the same importance as physical health. This proclamation outlines our goals, and as a community standing together, I truly hope it helps people become aware, release the stigmas, reach out to others, and seek the help and resources when needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mayor Odekirk appointments. Tonight, the mayor is recommending the following appointments to the Joliet Historic Preservation Commission: Brett Mitchell and Christine Polychondriotis as non-voting members, and Candace Johnson becoming a voting member. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Motion carried. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens to be heard on agenda items. Robert Webb?
Good evening, Councilman, administrative staff, concerned community members. My comment is basically revolving around the Pledge of Allegiance. that this council engages in at the opening of every meeting. And it says, to the Republic. I'm not sure if elected members of the municipality of Joliet have ever taken time to read the Act of 1871. As a matter of fact, the last president of the Republic, Abraham Lincoln, was killed prior to 1871. In 1871,
Mayor?
the capital of the Union.
Yes.
Mr. Webb, this isn't not an agenda item.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's not agenda. I'm talking about the agenda item. It's on the agenda. The Pledge of Allegiance. It's
Pledge
on
to the flag
agenda.
is on the agenda.
Sorry for interrupting.
When Washington was converted into a District of Columbia, right? At that point in time, the Republic was dissolved and was replaced with a democracy. We live in the corporate United States. The gold trim around the flag represents maritime law. It does not represent the Republic. So I think that in the future, this council will be conscious of exactly saying, well, who are we pledging an allegiance to? Are we pledging allegiance to the Republic? Because if it was the Republic, it wouldn't have that gold trim around it. Because that's not the flag of the Republic. That's the flag of the corporate United States. When Washington, D.C. was captured and turned into a corporation. As you know, by legal definition, Washington, D.C. is a foreign corporation. It has a 10-mile area of coverage. And when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, they say like the ignorance of the law is no excuse. You wonder why so many people are ignorant of that fact. So many distractions. I think we should really take time to really think about when we're saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the Republic. And what did the Republic stand for before 1871? And then we can really say the Pledge of Allegiance with some serious conviction. I just want to put that on you all's mind.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Next, we have council committee reports, public service committee report.
The public service met this afternoon at 4:30 here in the council meeting room. In attendance were myself, Councilwoman Gavin and Councilman Dickinson, as well as staff members. It was relatively short agenda. Everything was vetted and approved and sent forward to the full council with recommendation of approval. Just one note, there was about 7 or 8 items that were to do with the ballpark, and another item to do with expanding on our street light, LED street light program. Something we need to discuss when we get to there is the fact that both items will need an addition to the current budget because they're not included in the budget. In fairness, 70% of what it will cost us to do the LED, next phase 3 of LED, will come back to us from ComEd, but we do have to front that money and get it done by December 31st. And the monies for the laundry list of things that need to be done in preparation for possibly putting in the artificial turf will come back to us over the next 12 or 13 years at the rate of about $150,000 a year from the TIF. But again, we would have to front that $1 million. It's just under $1,980,000. So that's something we need to discuss, considering what's happened recently, in my opinion, with an unexpected bump down in our budget of $2.6 million and where we may be mid-year. So other than that, everything was sent forward to the full council with a positive recommendation, pending discussion by the full council, and that's all I have. Thank you.
I show no other reports. Next is the consent agenda.
Mayor?
Yes.
There is one item I want to bring to the council's attention. In position vacancies, job descriptions, there is one item, economic development specialist. This is a new position to assist Steve Jones with all of the growth and projects occurring within the city.
And if I can expand on that, Steve isn't here. It's my understanding he's been asking for help for some time now. Because of the level of development that's happened in Joliet, Steve is afraid that some of the smaller projects are being missed or are being neglected because of the amount of time he's spending on the bigger end ones. So, again, I think we've seen the payoff from the economic development director. I've looked at the question. It's been good for the city. I trust Steve, and he has been clamoring for this position for some time now.
I would, Mayor?
Yes.
I would echo that sentiment, working obviously very closely with Steve, myself, and the rest of the committee, Economic Development Committee. He is working full-time.
Yep.
And we might be missing some really good projects, and I don't want us to lose that momentum, so I certainly would support this.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I understand, why we need this position. Will this take an amendment to the budget? Because this is not a budgeted position, correct?
That is correct.
So will we have to amend the budget to do this, or just out of reserves, or how are we gonna?
If we do end up hiring someone, yes.
Yes.
Mayor, with the interviewing process that we're in the middle of hiring a city manager, wouldn't this position be better filled after the city manager is here and the city manager has a chance to look at all the positions on the staff?
Well, we could wait. We know that the city manager is gonna be at least 60 days out if we make a decision. And, Steve is the assistant city, or deputy city manager, and this person will be working directly for him. So I don't have a hard opinion on that. If you think that'd be best, I'd defer to the council. But we would basically be waiting to the end of the year to fill it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're right at the crossroads here where we're going to be hiring someone within the next few weeks. And we think 60 days. I think maybe we should, I know this is an urgent matter that we need to look at and get on it because we don't lose anything else, because this is September and it'll be January before, maybe longer than that. Perhaps once we make our decision, we could fill in the new person on the urgency of this and ask their opinion, and then maybe go from there. But I don't think put a timeline on it. I think maybe just ask an opinion.
Yes. Just a reminder that we're not filling the position tonight. Authorizing the creation of the position to be filled in the future.
Understood.
Which will be done under the new city manager if in fact the timeline is towards the end of the year.
Understood, but if we don't want to wait that long, that's what I'm saying. You want to wait 4 months to get one? I don't think we can wait 4 months.
No, I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
I'm kind of addressing both comments.
Well, exactly, but I'm just, that would be like a compromise right there, when we do hire someone, talk to that person, what their experience has been in the past, what do they think, to get the opinion, and then if that person that we choose says, could you please wait, then we could go from there. I don't think we should shut the door tonight on that.
On the new city manager?
No. On waiting to hire, we're gonna hire this position if we vote on this, but I don't think we should wait until the city manager decides who to choose, or if we should even do this. We're gonna vote on the position tonight, one way or another.
Just to create it.
Create the position. So if we find someone in the meantime that we think is gonna fill that position, who makes an application, and that comes within the next 60 days or 90 days before we get our new city manager in place, or if we decide who we're gonna choose within the next 30 days, who the city manager is gonna be, we can ask that person. But I don't think we should create the position and say, but we're not gonna hire until January, till the new city manager comes. Am I not making myself clear? Because you're looking at me like I'm Chinese.
No, I understand.
It's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of a compromise in between the two.
And Councilman, you were saying, Councilman Mudry? I think I was more addressing you. You were kind of saying that maybe we should hold off on creating or filling the position.
All the above.
Okay. So that's kind of what I was referring to, that we certainly can create it. But what's kind of a timeline you're looking at, Marty, you think, to fill it?
I probably have to defer to Steve, but he's not here, but I mean.
It seems like he's at his wit's end right now.
He wanted a person yesterday, but it's going to be a time, it's going to take some time in order to, publish, get the interview, get the resumes in, and then sort through the resumes, pick the top group, and then set up interview schedules, and then perhaps second interviews. I mean, it is going to be a period of time.
Well, and I do think we should create the position tonight and fill it expediently if we find the right candidate, because ultimately, Steve Jones is the one that's going to have to work with this person, regardless of whether he's still working under Marty or under whoever we decide to hire. So yeah, I think we're in agreement now that you've.
I'm not speaking Chinese anymore. We got okay.
But, all right.
Mayor,
Yes.
any of these positions, like you said, Marty, I mean, if you have somebody by you know, early, mid-December, that's optimistic.
That's
So-
probably pretty close
We're
to
probably
timeline.
talking the first of the year anyway.
Probably.
So we could probably create the position, but fund it in the 2018 budget, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, you could,
I mean-
if,
So we wouldn't have to amend the budget and all that stuff, I don't know.
Unless we find somebody, but who knows? You never know. Why don't we cross that bridge when we come to it?
Reasonable.
Yes.
You know, I tend to agree with Councilman Turk. If we're at that impasse right now, it's going to be the first of the year before we could even get a candidate in place. And so, having said that, we won't have to amend the budget now, but create the position, right? And then hire later on. Because either way we go, we're looking at the 2018 January, either way. So, I love the idea of creating a position. We need that person. And,
All good
We
ideas.
can always just
yeah,
have
right,
Marty
all
do
good
it.
ideas.
Right, Marty can do it. You know, and then if we do happen to, if we hire somebody, we can still work with that person. We hire a city manager to get some opinions and
Right.
input on it, you know.
Mayor, let me.
Yes.
Along the lines of Pat, and again, I'm on the Economic Development Committee with Larry and Pat, and I know Steve is doing a bang-up job, working very hard. But it was to me, it just seems like the new city manager, whether it be Marty or whomever it may be, should have some weigh in on this position. And maybe they have some expertise in this. I know we've interviewed some candidates that have some economic development experience that can help Steve in some of the smaller jobs that we might be losing.
Yeah, we don't want to lose.
And I just think that the city manager, since we that close to hiring a new city manager, should have some way in.
That's what I said.
Right, but you said it in Chinese, so. I don't know what I was saying, man.
Now I understand it.
I was saying in language. Again, that's.
I was speaking Terry Morris.
I tend to agree with that. I think we're so close to getting a new city manager that I think, you know, he should have some kind of input in this.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we should probably remove that item from the rest of the consent agenda then?
Do you want to vote on?
Oh,
I'm gonna vote on that separate, it sounds.
Well, can I'll say this in English? I have no problem in okaying the position. Again, I believe
Right.
Steve needs some help
Right.
at some point in life. But I believe, and I don't want to put words in Steve's mouth or the new city manager mouth, but I just think they need to weigh in on it. I don't see if a problem us okaying the position.
Got it.
But with the understanding,
you don't want me to turn around tomorrow and fill it.
right.
so don't hire your mom, okay?
But I think, the point of order.
I guess.
There's already one person who said they don't even want to approve the position tonight, so I think that needs to be voted on separate
Yes.
from the rest of the consent
Okay.
agenda.
So all of the position vacancies are usually voted on at once. Do you want to just,
Separate that one,
separate that, just that position?
just that one.
Okay. We'll
Do you
pull,
have a motion from us to remove it from the consent agenda?
I believe so.
But really, that's not a vacancy, it's a creation of a new position, correct?
Right. And
Yes.
So it shouldn't,
So I think,
It's job description, though.
yeah.
so I think maybe I can make a motion to remove it from the consent agenda, the creation of the new economic development specialist to be voted on separately. Is that a proper?
Yes, that
yes, correct.
I'll second that.
okay, but Mayor,
Yes,
but with the understanding that it won't be filled,
I'm crystal clear.
is that,
yes.
I mean.
But we're not voting on that yet, we're just voting to remove it from the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Councilman, you're saying it won't be filled until the new city manager weighs in on it, correct?
That was what I would like.
I have no
Okay.
problem with that.
I got no
Mike
problem
understood.
with that.
You didn't understand me, because that's what I said.
Well, aren't we getting ahead of ourselves? I think we just need to remove it from the consent agenda, and then we'll
Right.
be voting on that separately.
Specific issue.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. It's been motioned and seconded to remove from the consent agenda the creation of the new position of one economic development specialist in the city manager's office, which we will vote on separately. Councilman Hug?
Aye?
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
We will vote on consent agenda items next and then go back to that separately at the end. Consent agenda items include the approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on August 14th, 2017. The minutes of the council meeting held on August 15th, 2017. The minutes of the special council meeting held on August 21st. And the minutes of the special meeting held on August 22nd, 2017 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 462-17. Regular payroll for June 23rd through July 6th, 2017, $3,488,926.53. Council Memo 463-17, regular payroll for July 7th through July 20th, 2017, $3,520,824.74. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Council Memo 464-17, position vacancies, job descriptions. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill the following positions: 1 part-time custodian in the administrative services department, 1 wastewater plant operator 2 position in the public utilities department, 1 account clerk position in administrative services in the fleet services division, and any subsequent vacancies that may occur. And Council Memo 465-17, disclosable payment, IMRF retirement. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the creation of the position of the Economic Development Specialist in the City Manager's Office. Is there a motion to approve the creation of this position?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Okay. It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
No.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
I'm gonna vote aye based on what Councilman Morris said. I'm sorry?
No, Mr. Webb, please take a seat.
I want to speak on this item.
No, please take a seat.
Is there a reason why?
Yes, you're out of order.
This is a.
We're in the middle of a
agenda
vote.
item, right?
Please sit down or you're gonna be removed.
Stand down.
Go ahead, Mike.
You know, I think the new city manager should, whoever he or she is, should weigh in on it, but they have a different way of accomplishing the same task. Then we fill it, we don't fill a position, or we fill it based on their recommendation, but I vote aye to create it.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried 6-1. Moving under ordinances, Council Memo 467-17, an ordinance amending Article 4, Section 31-80A, Section 31-80B3, Section 31-80B4, Section 31-80B6, Section 31-80B8, and Section 31-80B10, eliminating winter quarter averaging of sewer charges.
Mayor?
Yes.
Winter averaging is a process where water consumption in December, January, February, and March are averaged to determine an average water use. So the council understands it is administratively burdensome since the utility billing system doesn't calculate winter averaging, so each individual bill must be reviewed and then changed manually if appropriate.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 467-17?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Just one quick question, Marty. How will this have any impact, Marty, on the residents?
If you use more water in December, January, February, and March, no. If you use more water in the other period, yes.
Okay.
It's confusing.
Yeah, I mean, averaging was what, to try to give a consistent bill?
Yes. Well, and no. Yeah. Mr. Gadati, he can probably explain it better than I could.
During our research, I was not able to find out when and why winter averaging was ever installed in our computer system. It is believed that winter averaging was used because water used in your swimming pool or your grass, which you use a lot in the summer, would not go into our sanitary sewer. So I believe that it was to give a break on when people fill the pools and they fill their, water their grass during the summer. However, all water that comes through the city of Joliet goes into our stormwater. So I believe that that theory is a little bit flawed. Plus, I have also recommended that any revenue that comes from this be set aside into a reserve account. So in the future, that council could use that to get an alternative water source. Currently, we take water out of our aquifer. Clearly, drawing water out of our swimming pools and watering your grass is draining our aquifer. So an average customer will have to pay $3 to $4 if they use less water in the winter more. I'm recommending that we take any additional revenue and put it into a reserve fund for an alternative water source.
All right, I'll vote aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 468-17, an ordinance amending Article 7, Section 47-17.213H, scope of regulations, and prohibition of window outline lighting.
Mayor?
Yes.
The proposed ordinance prohibits rope lighting, but does not prohibit decorative holiday lighting between October 15th and January 15th. There are approximately 56 photographs of rope lighting examples in the materials, which would be prohibited by the proposed ordinance. And I know this is only a sample of some of the use of rope lighting, and some of the businesses far west also utilize rope lighting. For example, the Plaza at County Line and Caton Farm, which there's not a picture of that one, but they also utilize rope lighting.
Question? Yes. Why are we proposing to get rid of rope? I mean, is this just the flashing, or is it just any rope lighting?
Rope lighting.
Why are we doing this?
Because the place is starting to look like a carnival. I mean, I've been all over lately because I know we had a problem with this. This came before land use. And it just gives the wrong impression. I mean, I don't know why you need these LED rope lights in the windows for your business.
Sometimes to stay alive as a business, as a local business, to draw attention.
Well, tell me how the lights are going to help you. If everybody in the plaza has them,
Well,
how is that going to help?
If they don't see a return on it, they're not going to invest in both the hardware to do it as well as the monthly electric that it would cost. I mean, as business people, they see a need for it. I can see with the flashing if it's going to be distracting, just like we do with the LED signs, but
You see how bright they are at night, Larry?
that's the concept. To draw private business, to draw people in. They have them look.
But if everybody in the strip mall has them, how is that going to draw the business? Everybody has them.
Everybody in the strip mall has signs, and we don't prohibit that.
Exactly. So if you have a sign, why do you have these lights? I just think it gives a carnival atmosphere. We're trying to move our city forward, not go backwards.
We don't want to handicap our businesses. It's tough enough to.
No, we
make
don't
ends
want to
meet out
handicap the businesses, but I'm not going to argue with you.
Mayor, Marty, am I reading this correctly? The Planning Commission is not for?
It was a 5-4 vote.
Yes, it was a 5-4 vote.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, 5-4 vote to allow rope lighting.
Let me get the exact number here. And I think it was a vote down, or vote not to recommend. Let me. It was a 5-4 vote against.
Against the ordinance?
Yes, against the ordinance.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know, I guess at that meeting, it came up about the seasons. I think one of the commissioners was kind of, not in favor of it just being from, what we said, October to.
October 15th or January, yes.
If that, it should be, you know, okay to do it in July as well as some other time of year, maybe Easter, I think he said. So that was the rope lighting. And this is also, because I guess his concern was on people's homes, maybe, and I might be mistaken that part. It might be business too. So he was, you know, because when we say rope light, we're still talking about the Christmas lights that's on the strings, right?
Yes, yes, but this is only for the commercial and business zoning, this does not cover residential.
So
you can still put them on your house.
But I live at my house. My business is my house. I'm talking personal now. I mean, it will save me some money, but I don't know how my wife gonna feel about it, because she likes it, especially my granddaughter. And you know how I feel about my granddaughter. She looks for the lights. So that's where kind of caught my attention when he mentioned that. I mean, some businesses wants to decorate for Christmas. I know they'd be okay.
You're still okay.
The business are. And then the commissioner brought up the fact about what if they want to decorate for the 4th of July?
There's no exception for 4th of July in the ordinance.
In this ordinance.
Correct.
For businesses.
For businesses.
But a home, you could decorate your home.
You still could, yes.
Okay.
If, just for a point of reference, when we crafted the ordinance, the language in the ordinance was taken from 2 neighboring communities, so we're not out on an island with this restriction. It's very common in neighboring communities. The only thing unique to our ordinance is the exception for holiday lighting. They do not exist in other communities.
You were at the Plan Commission meeting?
I was not.
Marty, you there?
No.
Your Honor, I would move the recommendation of the Plan Commission. Most of the rope lighting I've seen are on small businesses, and I think small businesses are operating on a marginal, you know, amount that apparently they think it's doing them good to have that, or like as Councilman Hug said, they wouldn't invest in the money to have it there. So I would recommend the recommendation of the Plan Commission.
Mayor?
Yes.
Plan Commission was split. It was a 5-4 vote, and apparently from what was said here, one of the commissioners was not quite clear about the Christmas decorating lighting, so maybe he would have been a different vote. Having said that, the administration does not concur with the Plan Commission's recommendation. So I just want to point that out. It was not unanimous. And without someone being there from council to explain the ordinance, it sounds like one of the commissioners was confusing, or maybe more than one.
There's a pending motion on the floor.
Is there a second to deny the ordinance?
What was was that Mike's motion?
Yes.
I would make a second.
It's been motioned and seconded to deny the ordinance, which would prohibit, well, denying the ordinance would allow rope lighting, so. Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye. Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
I'm sorry, this is to deny, or this is?
Deny the ordinance which would allow rope,
to allow rope lighting wherever
lighting
you want to put it. You can put it on top of your house.
No.
You put it in your basement. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry.
Councilman Mudrin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coleman?
No.
Motion carried. 5-2. The ordinance was denied. Council Memo 469-17, an ordinance approving a variation of use to allow a party supply store and carry-out restaurant, a B1 neighborhood business use within an R2 single-family residential zoning district located at 1214 North Rainer Avenue.
Mayor?
Yes.
This is a proposal for a new store at 1214 Rainer, which if my memory serves me correctly, at one time was Garnsies. I don't know if that was mentioned in there. Some neighbors did appear at the ZBA meeting and voiced objections. ZBA did recommend approval.
I'm going to make a motion to deny it, and here's why. That business has been nothing but trouble from the past. So we let somebody else come before us, which is not in the council memo, but I think it was a few years back. The last time it said it came in 1982, but it was just a few years back. And that business failed as well. And I don't understand, where's our plan here? I mean, who ever heard of a party store and a carry-out food store in the middle of a residential neighborhood? I'm not understanding this, and I can't see why we'd want such a business in the middle of a neighborhood. And with so many people, all the neighbors coming against it, because they've lived there they've been through so much over the years. First with Garnsey, the other business that was there was not as much trouble. There were some issues, but it didn't last very long. And this has been empty for quite some time. And I just do not believe that this is a good fit for a residential neighborhood. And I wish our planning department would come up with something else, because I discussed this with the city manager earlier today. And it's just bizarre to me. So I would move to deny it.
Second.
Motion and seconded to deny a variation of use to allow a party store and carry-out restaurant at 1214 North Rainer Avenue. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
No.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
No.
Motion carried.
Maria, I have a question.
Yes.
How did a bar operate under a single-family residential zoning? Was there an amendment made in the past to allow a business in the first place?
It had a special use permit.
It was possible that,
Variation.
yeah, plus it could have been it was grandfathered. Looking at I'm guessing it was constructed and operated as a bar prior to annexation into the city. So.
The vote was 5-2, so the variation of use was denied. Council Memo 470-17, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow an auto body repair shop located at 2095 Oak Leaf Street.
Mayor?
Yes.
Staff discovered that this location was operating as an auto body repair shop without a special permit use. ZBA heard this and did recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 470-17. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
There's no opposition, I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 471-17, ordinances for the levy and assessment of taxes for the 2014 Special Services Area Neighborhood Improvement Program.
So moved. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say neighborhood improvement program, final construction costs are known.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 471-17. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 472-17 is an ordinance approving an amendment to the Des Plaines River Valley Enterprise Zone Intergovernmental Agreement, Rock Run Crossings Expansion Request.
Mayor?
Yes.
This is an expansion of the Des Plaines River Valley Enterprise Zone to include the Rock Run Crossing Project, which again is at the northeast corner of I-80 and I-55. Scott Fitzgerald from Cullinan is here. This will, just in case you have any specific questions, this will provide, even though this really doesn't relate to him, this is just an expansion. This will provide additional economic incentives through exemptions on sales tax paid for building materials, exemptions on sale on state utility tax, and exemptions on purchases of property used in the manufacturing process for Cullinan when they ultimately start this project.
Yes.
This is, this would include our Cullinan development?
Yes.
As well as Ecolab?
That's the next one.
Okay, we're putting them separate,
Yes,
okay.
separate.
I'd make a motion.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 472-17. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 473-17 is an ordinance approving an amendment to the Des Plaines River Valley Enterprise Zone intergovernmental agreement for Ecolab expansion request.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 473-17. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 475-17, a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement for the lease and operation of the Joliet Baseball Stadium, Joliet Community Baseball and Entertainment LLC.
Mayor?
Yes.
We literally finalized this agreement. This is with the Slammers earlier this afternoon, and I see that the representatives are here. They require a lease for the stadium through their league, and this is why this needs to be on the agenda, because we didn't want them to miss their deadline within their league. This is a 1-year lease proposal with a rent payment of $25,000 to the city.
So move.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Well, I really haven't had time to review this, but based on the recommendations, city manager, I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
I want
Motion
to thank Nick Samaka and the Slammers representatives. Thank you. Looking forward to another great year next year.
Council Memo 476-17, a resolution authorizing execution and accepting a grant easement for waste management.
Mayor?
Yes.
Waste Management owns property on the south side of the proposed Hobart Road extension. In an agreement from 2012, Waste Management agreed to grant an easement over a portion of its property. The city, by this resolution, accepts the grant of easement.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 476-17. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 477-17 is a resolution declaring certain City of Joliet property as surplus. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
So moved. I thought Marty had a couple.
Not on this one.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk. Motion carried. Council Memo 478-17, it's a resolution authorizing the allocation of home funds and the execution of a home subrecipient agreement between the City of Joliet and the Will County Center for Community Concerns.
Mayor?
Yes.
The city receives home funds, which are used for down payment assistance. The amount allocated to the city is up to $45,500.
Thank you.
So moved.
Is there a second? There's a motion to approve Council Memo 478-17. Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Bids and contracts, award of contracts. Council Memo 480-17, amend the budget and purchase police MDT in-squad computers. Council Memo 481-17, award the 2017 Public Utilities Restoration Program Phase 2 contract. Council Memo 482-17, award a contract for the Well 11D Removal Project 2017. Council Memo 483-17, award a contract for the 2017 Streetlight Luminaries Purchase Order Phase 3. Council Memo 484-17, award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park Site Utilities and Excavation. Council Memo 485-17, award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park fencing. Council Memo 486-17, award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park concrete. Council Memo 487-17, award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park wall padding. Council Memo 488-17, award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park landscaping. Council Memo 49-17, award a contract for the Joliet Minor League Baseball Park painting. And Council Memo 490-17, approve a professional services agreement for the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant phosphorus removal and sludge handling improvements project. It's recommended Council Memos 480 through 490-17 be approved.
Yeah, Mayor, on Councilman 4517, on the fencing, I was wondering why the discrepancy with the engineer's estimate was $110,270. Was there a different material that we were looking at? Do we know?
No. What we did is, I mean, if you look at the overall project itself, some of the numbers were low, some of the numbers were high. You picked out the one that was just, for some reason, was higher than.
Right.
Was higher than the estimate.
Oh, so it had nothing, it's all the same material, it was just.
It's the same material, it was just that the bids came in higher than we thought.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
So Marty, is there another phase then for the actual materials?
Yes.
It's going to be coming soon?
At the next meeting. So what we did is we wanted these to come before the council as soon as possible, so that way we could get these contracts awarded and get the work started sooner, because this work, it can actually take place before the actual turf is laid down. And then the turf bids, we just wanted to take a look at a little bit closer because of the different materials and all the different questions that we received over the past month or so.
So this number of approximately $950,000 was similar to what Mr. Trisna showed us a month ago?
Yes, and then the turf will be on top of that.
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Marty, then, as far as like, what was it, the drainage, everything, is that going to be done by the turf company itself, or is that a separate contract, or is that in with this, excavation work?
I think that was part of the excavation work.
Okay.
Yes.
That's how I read it.
Okay, thanks.
Mayor?
Yes.
As I said a little bit earlier in the committee report, I think now would be a good time to publicly discuss the there's more than two, but all the items related to the ballpark, as well as all the item related to the LED lighting. Again, I want to be clear that the ballpark will be paid back over, I think, 12 or 13 years from the TIF and from the, what's the name of the waste management fund?
Community
support. So to the tune of $150,000 a year until it's paid off. But we do have to come up with that money right now in the middle of this new budget shortfall that we've been straddled with. So we should at least acknowledge that before we move forward, because I think some people are going to be curious why we're spending that kind of money. Now, the LED lights, which we've gotten in other parts of the city, should continue, and they will pay for themselves because of the amount of money they save and the number of years they last, up to 20 years. And do we know, Jim, Trisna, or Marty, how quickly after the completion in December will ComEd, who is now giving the 70% grant versus the state of Illinois used to, how quickly can we assume they might pay? I mean, is this something that will be tied up in red tape for a long time, or a matter of a month or two?
No, actually, it's pretty quick. We anticipate about 3 months after we submit towards the end of December.
Okay.
That's how the DCEO grant has been, and we've been told it's going to be the same program, even though ComEd's taking it over to finish out this year, the 2017 year.
So should we take that from reserve, for instance, we're getting 70% of it back within 3 months, but taking wherever we're going to take the money for the ballpark, because now this is just half of the ballpark budget, that's money that's going to be gone for 12 or 13 years. So it's just something that I wanted to point out before we move forward on the vote.
Actually, that's not half. This may be more like around 2/3 of the total project.
What's the total project estimate?
About 1.6 million.
Okay. That means that would leave roughly 0.6 million, a little more.
600,000.
Right, 0.6 million. So just so we're all aware of that, because those are the questions that will be asked. Now, and again, I want to express to folks that when it comes to the ballpark, this money is coming out of the TIF, the Tax Increment Financing Fund. If we don't spend it, and the same thing with the portion that's coming from waste management, we can't use that for the general fund. The TIF money has to be used for economic development projects. So, but we do have to front this money. I just wanted to point that out.
Is there a motion to approve council memos 480 through 490-17?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 492-17 approved change order number 10 for the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant Influent Pumping Station and Screen Replacement Project. And Council Memo 493-17 approved change order number 1 for the 2017 Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Project. It's recommended Council Memos 492 and 493-17 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Yeah, there's just one thing I'd like to report on regarding the firefighter paramedic applications. I want to compare 2015 to 2017, just to give you a quick, female applicants, again, this is comparing 2015 to 2017. Female applicants up 75%, Hispanic applicants up 158%, and African-American applicants up 267%.
Good.
So there's just to kind of touch on a couple of.
Well, we should probably point out, Bishop Purchase is in the audience. He's a member of the Police and Fire Board, and your board has been very active in trying to expand the pool of applicants, so great work. The results are there. Thank you.
And there is a request for executive session.
Next is new business not for final action or recommendation.
I have nothing.
Couple items. Number one, I really want to thank Cadence Premier Logistics and Krista Desiderio and the city staff have stepped up for the Hurricane Harvey relief. I saw a Joliet billboard advertising this on a Chicago expressway, which is great to see a positive image for our city. And I know, Krista, you've reported this as well as others, that we have many people from out of town that are coming downtown to City Hall to drop items off and are complimenting our city, saying they wish that their communities were doing something like this. As of today, I think the first semi-truck is full. So it's going through Friday, but Cadence is going to offer a second truck with a second driver to drive down to Houston or to Texas, wherever they're going with this. And also, remind people that the items that we're requesting were listed by the Red Cross. These are the items that's going to be turned over to the Red Cross in Texas. They're going to be distributing them. So thank you, Krista. Thank you, Cadence. And also I want to thank Dave Strama at Union Signs and Printing for donating the signs that you see all over town advertising for this. So great job.
Next is public comments. First, we have Tim Kelly.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, Interim City Manager Shanahan, and department heads. I believe most of you know me. My name is Tim Kelly, and I am currently the sewer foreman for the City of Joliet for the last 6.5 years. I say currently because in 9 days, 19 hours, 40 minutes, and 35 seconds, I will be retiring. I have worked for the city for nearly 37 years. 8 years in the police and fire radio room, 8 years in the street department, and 21 years in the sewer department. Councilwoman Gavin has been an advocate of wanting me to stay, or jokingly trying to get me to stay, and I thank you for that. No offense to Councilwoman Gavin or to the members of the council, but you haven't been able to give me or my department what I've asked for the last 6 years to encourage me to stay, so I don't believe in the next 9 days it's gonna happen. So putting that behind me, I want to tell you why I'm standing here before you. In these last 37 years, I've worked with a lot of employees and met even more. I've worked with vendors, contractors, businesses, and have met a lot of citizens. Part of my goal as a sewer foreman was to listen to the citizens as they discussed their problems, yelled at me, or just wanted to talk. And then before walking away, they either shake my hand, end up laughing or smiling, or just say thank you. That's when I feel that I've done my job, and that of course is with the help of the sewer crew of only 7 great guys. During the course of these years, I have really enjoyed my time here. After the radio room and the street department, I found my home in the sewer department. The old timers took me under their wings, showed me the ropes, and taught me so much. I fell in love with my job to the point where I loved coming to work, and I even looked forward to it. Being able to work for the city of Joliet has been a godsend. I appreciate all that I have been given, and I am grateful to all the people that I've met and the people I've worked with, especially the sewer crew and the secretaries that have been so great to me, and that I can stand before you and thank you for the last 37 years. It's been an honor and a privilege, and again, I say thank you.
Thank you. Okay, perfect timing.
I won't kiss you.
I wonder if you did.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, for all the voting stuff.
That's right. I thought the applause was for me.
I think you stood outside and
That's
you
right.
waited, right?
Next is Charles Craig.
Good evening, Mayor, to the staff, and to all. My name is Charles Craig. Thanks for this opportunity to speak, but if I may do so, I would like Robert Webbs to take my time to speak.
I don't think we do that anymore. Mr. Webb's allowed to speak, but we're not gonna, I think per ordinance, we don't hand off time from one to the other. So he's allowed to come up and speak in the allotted time if he wants.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Robert Webb.
Again, council members or council persons, administrative staff, fellow community members. As everyone here should know, or reasonably should know, it's not my purpose to come before this assembly just for the idea of trying to stroke somebody's ego with some false flattery. Rather, when I come before this assembly, I come here to make you think. I want you to think about this. Some time ago, I brought to this council's attention after this particular community member made the statement that Joliet is the capital of Will County. During the 27 years of my observant participation in these assembly proceedings, a good majority of those years has been spent walking aboard that boat on the land over here on 14th West Jefferson Street, known as the courthouse, which I think over the past 20 years, I got more time and research study than 3/4 of the attorneys that practice the legal profession over there in that building. I'm there every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 to 12, ritualistically, never miss a day. Over at this particular place, many people look at it as the Will County Courthouse, when actually it's a ship on the land, practicing maritime law. There's this policy of what can be brought into that building and what cannot be brought in that building, like people who have cell phones with recording devices on it. Now, the Will County Courthouse is a public building where business is conducted. And it seems to me that if this is the capital of Joliet, the capital of Will County, and the City of Joliet has an anti-discrimination ordinance prohibiting discrimination in places of public accommodation, which the Will County Courthouse is. I had asked this council to consider commencing a class action lawsuit on behalf of the residents who have been discriminated against bringing their cell phones into the courthouse, whereas you got the lawyers, the staff people, various polices bringing their cell phones into the courthouse with cameras and recording devices on it. It seems very discriminatory that the people who come in to take care of business is not allowed the same privileges as the ones who are in there to provide services to those people, being that this is the capital of Will County with an anti-discrimination ordinance. The Community Relations Board that the City Council had set up a number of years ago to address this issue has been long resolved or dissolved, and there's never been another commission set up in its place to file complaints on behalf of, you want to call yourself a resident citizen or resident alien or alien resident, all depends on how you want to, define yourselves. But so that leaves this full council board as the Community Relations Board to ensure that the ordinance of the City of Joliet, particularly the anti-discrimination ordinance, is fully, abided by and enforced throughout the city. Now, I realize that the SS Will County Courthouse is under the jurisdiction of the county, but it's still in city limits in the capital. I'm sure you all can make recommendations to those who are in charge of the SS Will County Courthouse to address that discriminatory policy that's in place every day. And I said the people the residents that go there to transact their business should have the same privileges as those who work in that building. And you'll see the lawyers on their phone up and down the hallway, texting, walking in the courtroom texting. As soon as one of the people who are there to do their business attempt to bring a phone in there, they're told, well, you got to take it out of here and we're not going to, hold it for you.
You keep wrapping up, please, over a 4-minute time limit.
So keeping in mind the oath of office that each one of the members of the municipal corporation has taken, which is really, the elected corporate officers, to uphold the ordinance of the City of Joliet to the best of your ability. And I would ask myself the question, what is the best of one's ability? Right. So the ordinance, the anti-discrimination ordinance, needs to be enforced, even if it's against a county facility right down the street, the SS Will County Courthouse.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comments?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I just wanted to remind everyone that this Saturday is the Latin Festival, which will take place in our beautiful downtown city center. And I just wanted to encourage all residents to attend. It's a collaborative effort between our Chamber of Commerce, which has done a tremendous job working with the Spanish Community Center to help raise funds for that center, which is suffering seriously because of lack of state funding, because of the stalemate in Springfield at this time. I just also want to say that 35 years that I've been involved in the city, from Mayor Keck, Mayor Connor, Mayor Schultz, Mayor Girani, and now Mayor Odekirk, that things are looking good for our city. Our city, maybe in other parts of the country, there's problems, but in our city, things seem to be working well. People seem to be uniting, and I don't think in many respects that a lot of the positive things that are taking place are highlighted in our local press. But with the economic development which is taking place under your leadership, Mayor, and all the great city council persons sitting next to you, that is a positive for our city. That's economic growth. Those are jobs. The Joliet Police Department has been doing an outstanding job to protect the citizens of our city. And as a citizen, as someone who's been involved for so many years, I'm very proud to say thank you to all of you for the fine work that you continue to do. And again, I hope everybody comes out this weekend and comes to the fest and has a nice time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Next is mayor and council comments.
No, I have nothing.
Just one thing, I would like for everybody to come out to the festival as well, but please, something amazing is going to happen on the east side of Joliet. The groundbreaking with the Joliet Park District in Noel Park starts at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. on Saturday.
Saturday morning, so please come out. And we thank the Park District, we thank the residents for adopting that resolution and that referendum. And now the east side is gonna have a beautiful, beautiful place. So not only come out, but join as well. Join the facility. That's the truth. Thank you, Mayor.
Second week of high school football, a lot of area teams. One I'm gonna mention is Plainfield Central. They carried the monkey on their back of roughly 30 straight losses, not a win in 5 years. And Friday night they played Plainfield East. With less than 2 minutes left, Plainfield East went up 28-21. They were able to, Plainfield Central, to muster the troops and score, making it 28-27. And this is the part I like best. After all those years of a down program, their option was what? Take the easy route, take the tie, and go into overtime? They laid it all on the table, went for the 2-point conversion and won 29-28 and broke the record, and I want to give them a hand. Congratulations to Plainfield Central's football team and their whole school.
I'd like to congratulate the Jewel Osco Corporation on the Larkin Avenue that had a re-grand opening 2 weeks ago for the facility with the extensive remodeling inside. Obviously, we're short on some grocery stores throughout, and they're well needed. Congratulations.
Well, there's a new place in town that's opening up. They have the grand opening in 2 weeks, but I had the privilege of going there with my family on Friday evening. It's the new Migraine, the new microbrewery that we have in town at the old Union Station. I'm telling you, this place was fabulous. The food was great. I'm told the beer was great because I don't drink beer, but great atmosphere, great service for just getting their feet wet. And I would encourage everybody to go down there because it's like nothing we've seen before. And prices are reasonable. And please support them, and you'll be finding about their grand opening within 2 weeks. They're open now, but the grand opening will be in 2 weeks. So please go out and support this new business.
I have a few things. Number one, Councilwoman Coleman, I was at Migraine on Thursday, and I concur, the food was terrific. Their grand opening, I believe, is tomorrow.
Well, I thought so as well, but when I talked to the, because we're going to be filming there tomorrow. Yes. But when I talked to the marketing guy, he said it was from 2 weeks from now. So I don't know where the wires got crossed, but that's why we were going to do it tomorrow. But I was told it's going to be in 2 weeks.
They're opening tomorrow, but I think the ribbon cutting is in 2 weeks.
So I mean, open for business.
They're open for business. Right. But and we'll be filming so they can watch on Channel 6 so they can see what it looks like inside.
Okay, thank you. Well, I concur. It was a real nice meal, great place. It should be very successful. So I'm excited about that. On August 24th, I attended another ribbon cutting for the Joliet Park District at West Park. Thank you to the Park District, and as Councilwoman Gavin said, there's going to be a big ribbon cutting Saturday morning. Saturday's going to be a busy day here in Joliet.
Very busy.
I want to compliment the African American Business Association, as well as the Joliet Chamber of Commerce. On August 24th, they had their ceremonies at Jacob Henry Mansion. Councilman Morris, you were there. Councilwoman Gavin, you were there. It's a real nice success story. I really want to give both groups credit for working together. It's, again, kind of a new idea, another step forward, but I really compliment everybody involved. It was a great event that night, huge turnout. Murphy USA had a groundbreaking. They're going to be on Jefferson Street on August 29th. Thank you again to the Chamber of Commerce for that. Race Fan Rally was last week at the Joliet Historical Museum. Thank you to the City Center Partnership and the Chamber for their work with Chicagoland Speedway and NASCAR. We mentioned migraine. All Nations Church had a festival this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I went down there, they had beautiful weather. I think some of my colleagues were there. I didn't see when I was there, but it was a great festival. I spoke with some representatives from All Nations, and they're going to come in front of the council in upcoming meetings. They'd like to speak to the council about some of the good work that they're doing down there in the community, so I'm looking forward to that. And then finally, we had a real major grand opening on August 25th, up on the rear of the Silver Cross property, Hope Manor, the home or the new housing for homeless veterans was opening. Congressman Bill Foster, as well as United States Senator Dick Durbin were present. They spoke along with Senator Pat McGuire and myself. Huge event, real impressive. Something like this is occurring in an older part of Joliet, this type of development and this type of investment. There was a veteran who gave her story, her family's story. It was a very moving story. So I want to thank all my colleagues who attended. And to that point, this was not covered in the local media. I don't know why. I have no idea. You had 2 U.S. congressmen at a grand opening in Joliet, but it never makes the newspaper. But having said that, I know a copy of this. It was recorded. It's on Channel 6. So I would encourage anybody, any of our residents who are interested in watching that. And maybe that's something, Marty, we could put on the city website, because I think this is the type of news that people enjoy and need to hear. And I don't know offhand, again, Mike, I'll defer to you. When was the last time you had a U.S. Senator and a United States Congressman speaking at a grand opening in Joliet?
Not a long time.
Well, it happened 2 weeks ago.
And even the network people weren't there,
Right.
like ABC, CBS.
There were a number of cameras there, including Channel 6. So luckily it was captured, but real nice project, and I'm glad they're here. And again, thanks to my colleagues for coming out. And then finally, as it was referenced earlier, it's been a difficult week last week, or last 2 weeks in Joliet. And I do want to thank, Tim Kelly, thank you for being here, all our city workers. I do want to single out our first responders. I was at the prison fire on, that was a Monday morning that occurred. I want to thank our fire department for going out there, again, for putting that out. And then again, I was on Reed Street last week. I spoke with some of the police officers who were first on the scene or as they were processing the crime scene. And, both are tough jobs, and to have to deal with those types of things, it's very difficult. So I do want to give a shout out to all our first responders and to Tim Kelly and all our other city employees. And then a quick update. I've called Governor Rauner's office. I know Mr. Reed just spoke with a representative today. We're hoping between now and the next city council meeting to have a meeting in Springfield with the governor and his staff. And I'm hoping to be able to present something specific back to the council about what either we're going to do or the state is pledging to do with the property, with the prison property. So that's all that I have tonight.
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried.
What about Councilman Girl?
Oh, I apologize. Councilman Girl.
Vote aye to adjourn, yeah.
To adjourn.
Thank you.